Hi, everybody. My name is Danielle. I am the founder and CEO of Spark FM Online, Boston's #1 for urban and Caribbean music. We empower and amplify the underserved voices of the community and provide low cost advertising and marketing to small businesses.
Hello, Danielle.
Hi.
All right. So you have I love your name, Danielle, because I've always loved Danielle because in French, Danielle and Danny. I mean, so I always I go, when I have a girl, I want to call him Danielle. And so of course I've moved away from that just because when my dad died, I go, it's going to be Ray after my dad. But Danielle is always a name that I go, because in French, it just sounds like Danielle.
It sounds real. You know what the thing is? It's such a common name that I didn't even realize that until I was growing up. Like, everybody got this name.
I love it. All right. And so you were on a panel that I attended, and just before I hit record, I was saying that I'm jaded. I mean, we throughout Zoom, but even when I go to conferences, I would rather roam the halls and sit through a bad speaker. It drives me batty. I mean, I work really hard to be a good speaker, and I'm not even where I need to be, but you were great. The content was fun and engaging. And I was like, oh, you were like literally, it was probably like 15 minutes into the conference. I'm like, LinkedIn, who is this lady? And I will not collect warm bodies. You were just so strong and passionate about what you're doing and how you're doing it. So I had to reach out to you and I had to get you on the podcast. So that was one. Number two, Caribbean.
Yes.
The music was Caribbean. And I'm like, so I'm going to hold it because I went right there and I heard Caribbean. I'm like, ooh, no, that's okay. Is that mom?
Okay.
Dad? Who's that?
No,
I love
my sister.
Hi,
like,
oh. Hey, look. It's okay. It's all good. I love it. All right. So we want to know who you are. I mean, I want to get to know who you are. So without talking about education yet, or without talking about the business, who is Danielle and where are you? Where are you located?
So I am located in Boston, Massachusetts. I am Danielle Johnson, also very much known as Miss Hot Sauce or Saucy around the Boston sphere. I have been in media for about 10 years, working at different radio stations and on different platforms. Really just big in the community for sharing resources, information. Even today, I got dubbed the Oprah of grants. So I just find them and I share them to everybody because everybody should get money. You get a grant, you get a grant, you get a grant. So they still got to apply to them and figure it out. But if I find it, I just want people to know about it. So I am a mom of a 9-year-old.
No. You're too early. I still want you. I want you before, remember, before school, before the businesses, I want to know who you were like growing up, because your personality, just like, you didn't just come out of the womb and say like, here I am, I'm saucy.
Oh, I kind of did, according to my mother. She was just like, you've always just been, like very outgoing, very active. And I've always been very bossy, and very loud. And obviously I come with a lot of energy that is natural, that just goes through my body. I don't need coffee. I don't need drinks. I
don't know what that's like at all.
I don't need any
I'm
of
sure.
that.
I've heard this, but I want to know when you do events, do people say we're going to put you in the morning or right after lunch because you're going to up the room?
All the time. We need you to be right here because they're probably going to fall asleep. So we need you to wait. I'm like the awakener or something like that. And I'm like, I'm not here for your entertainment pleasures. I'm a person too. Entertain me. But this has just been what I've liked to do. I've always liked to entertain and make people laugh, make people smile, just overall make people feel good. And I am like you, like when I go and I hear people speak, or if I'm signing up to a panel, within the first 5 minutes, I'm like, oh, I don't want to be here. Or I'm like, oh, this is good. I like her. And usually the people that I do like, just like myself, I kind of, just kind of touch base. Let's stay connected. Even if it's not anything frequent, let's stay connected. So other than that, I come from a Trinidadian dad and a Honduran mom. So I'm like technically half Afro Latina. I don't speak.
Ooh, what a wonderful combination there, my friends. Okay, so how was it? I mean, high energy, okay? High energy, and Trinidad is like very, very chill, very relaxed. I go, and Honduras, I have one of my closest friends from my MBA program is from Honduras. And Fuad is just like, his wife is just like high energy. The kids are high energy. And Fuad is like, can go either or. So how was it growing up in that, knowing that you're a high energy person?
So it's funny because I'm the opposite. My dad was a DJ. My uncles have like a rhythm section which consists of steel pans and drums and things. I come a long line of DJs in general. So like for me, it was almost ingrained in me to always be entertaining. Well, my mother goes either or, but she's more so on the very laid back, chill, you guys go be crazy, I'll sit here with the bags.
So music is part of your life, like your being. I mean, could you ever imagine a time that it wasn't a part of your being? And also, was that even an option growing up?
So yeah, so I only decided to get into the media probably 10 years ago. So before I went to school for nursing. I went to school in Michigan, Andrews University. It's a Christian college. And I wanted to be a nurse, like I wanted to work with babies. I wanted to make babies smile. I wanted to be a traveling pediatric nurse. Like specifically, that's what I wanted to do. I got to college and I realized that I was really good at like psychology and sociology classes, things that had to do with working with people and, like how they feel. But when it came to the nursing aspect, I was failing all those science classes. It was a struggle. I was tired, stressed out, anxious, all those things. I failed out of nursing school and somebody suggested that I take up communications. And when I started communications, life started to turn over. Things started to happen that were natural for me. I was able to, do more plays and host events and, like talk to people and be a comedian, self-proclaimed comedian. So those things kind of just started to happen naturally. And it was then that I kind of looked back on, just history and family, like, hey, I really, really like this and I'm really good at it. And I get to be naturally silly and energetic and fun. And the best thing was being able to see people happy and smiling because, I was on stage. So it was something that it became very natural after I realized this is what I was supposed to be doing.
So Boston kid goes to Michigan. It's we're cold, but it's cold. It's really cold. It's very cold. Your personality is very large, and not saying that. I have many. I feel like the Caribbean world, we're in the medical field. We take over the medical field. You're in Michigan. You want to be with the babies. You have a large personality. How are you perceived? Because you're at home, and they are. We see who came out, and I go, and now we're just used to you. You're creative. You're loud. You like to entertain people. You're in the line of entertainment, but now you're in Michigan, definitely different than, Master. Like where do we want to say Midwest?
It was all the way down near Indiana. And when I say a little, it wasn't a little school. We were like maybe 10th most diverse university in America or something, Andrews University. Oh, wow. But it was super Christian. I'm Seventh-day Adventist. Well, I grew up Seventh-day Adventist. Yep. And Seventh-day Adventists are just really, women should be seen and not heard. Children,
I have a lot of family members.
You behave. You are absolutely not loud, and all rambunctious and whatever. So I've grown up, hearing I wouldn't say that they were negative words, but too much, or you got a lot of energy. Oh, like when are you gonna relax or settle down? Or
why do you have to show your teeth so much? Why are you smiling so much?
Exactly. Why are you doing the most? And that's just like, if I'm not doing the most, then what am I really doing? Because that wouldn't be who I am. So it was one of those things where it was. I've never actually had a problem, saying, ugh, that's not what you like, but that's who I am. Again, entertaining outside is not naturally who I am inside. When I'm inside, give me a glass of wine, the remote control, and a blanket, and you probably won't hear a word out of me because I exert so much energy outside being on that when it's time for me to be off, I actually off. I'm done.
Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I'm like both. I'm like an introverted extrovert. And it
But
really
you said
like,
introverted, but you said introverted first, because I'm an
yeah,
extroverted introvert.
I generally don't like people. Um, so like I don't have a problem
So
being
weird.
around them.
It's, do you see how large you are? You're like, and I'm like, and I mean, I mean, I know one other person that I swear to God, I'm going to introduce you to. Are you, Joseline? Do you know Joseline, man?
No.
Oh yeah, Joseline is on stage and he's on fire. And
Mhm.
literally, he's like, once he's done and the Q&A starts, he's like, where can I hide?
That's me. So like I can talk to I can talk to thousands upon thousands of people at the same
Mhm.
time. You put me in a networking event, oh no. You want me to talk to people one to one and speak to them? Like standing up and exchanging stories and talking to strangers? Absolutely not. I don't want it. Like even it's so funny because now that we're in the Zoom world, even when they do breakout rooms, I'd be like, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. I don't want to be in a breakout room. I like a big group. Why can't we all be together? But so
I
yeah,
want to be on
introverted,
stage where I only
extrovert.
get, you want to be on stage where you see only the first row of people. You don't want to see
Yeah.
the entire arena kind of thing.
Yeah,
Or the opposite, I should say.
the first row of naked people, so you feel like you belong. But yeah, like I just at a networking event, you can find me by the bar with a
Yeah.
glass of wine, casually looking at my phone, and probably calling the Uber to come release me from the depths of speaking to people.
So did you survive in nursing school because, and this is, I mean, before you flunked out, but did you survive there because of the introvert or the extrovert in you?
I think because of the introvert, I was able to do a little studying. But I think that I failed out because of the extrovert in me. Like there was so many more fun things to do than sit down and study veins and arteries and things and labeling the parts of the body. It's a head, shoulders, knees, and toes. That's what I should know. So like if it's anything more than that, I remember one of the classes was like anatomy 103 or something, and there was these big skeletons with all of the muscles and tendons and everything, and we were supposed to name them, and I just sat there like, it's not gonna happen. I tried to cheat. I brought note cards, hid them under the desk, still failed it. It was terrible.
So you come home and your parents say what, and then how did you get into communications? I mean, I mean, I mean, I shouldn't say how because you mentioned that, but how did you slip into it where you're like, ooh, this is my thing?
So I think it was my third year. It was my third year of college that and it wasn't even super flunky. It was like you couldn't get below a C minus or something like that. And I got two of them. And that's when we technically got kicked out. And because if I went back, if I took a semester to rectify the situation, it would have set me back another year. And I was already at year three. So at this point, it was like something that you can do real quick and graduate. It still took me 5 years because I now had to catch up with communications. But I would suggest, I think it was a guidance counselor. It was like, not general studies, but why don't you try communications? And from my first communication class, I think it was like interpersonal relationships class. And I was like, ooh, I like this. And I started to like really get excited about going to class and learning about how people work and what they like and what ticks. So then after that, it was just kind of like, oh, started taking public relations and public speech and speaking and all kinds of different things. And I liked every single one of the classes. So it just ended up being like, why don't you just do this for real? And even then, I never thought of a career in media. It was more like, I can get a little communications, work in an admin assistant, do something, safe and fun. But yeah, it just ended up being like, wow, nice path. Good thing.
We are actually, you know what? I'm gonna like interject the story of you, and then I'm just gonna jump into the pandemic starts. All right, so I'm gonna like rewind, come back to what you're doing, but the pandemic starts March 2020. The world starts imploding. Communications, so you could see the writing on the wall before people started putting out press releases, and I feel like we were in a year of press releases.
Yeah.
Press releases for the press release for the pandemic, press release in regards to stay at home, press release of Black Lives Matters, press release of xenophobia, I mean, we're, look, here's a press release. Oh, I said the wrong thing. Oh, wait, my CEO and founder said so. There's like all these press releases to the point where like, what's genuine, what's not genuine.
Yeah, what are we talking about? Yeah.
Yeah. You're in the world of communications. You, like me, we see the world differently. Our ears are definitely to the ground, and we kind of like want to rush into the house with the fire, as in a company has a big, huge snafu as communications people. We're like, I wish I was in there to fix it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when you saw everything happening, I mean, what were your thoughts? What, as a communications person, as a sociology person, I mean, like sociology is one of my majors as well. We live and breathe people. We may not want to be with them all the time, but we live and breathe people and how they react and how you can change it to make it more where more people are engaging. What was your first thought at the beginning of the pandemic, and how has it evolved throughout with all the pandemics?
So this is such a great question, because it literally is what was happening. So when everything happened, I had just launched the radio station, and I launched in January. We finished our crowdfunding campaign in February. I signed the lease for the building on March 17th. And a couple of days later, the world shut down. So already for me, I was like, first of all, got through the crowdfunding portion of that, was able to successfully launch, but now here we are ready to go and we can't do anything. So for me, it took a big toll mentally on me, because it's like, damn it, like we were so close. We had so much plans. There was so much to do this year, and everything is shut down. And then soon after that, people started dying left and right. It got crazy. We were getting curfews. George Floyd happened. Breonna Taylor happened. Ahmaud, Aubrey. Yeah, all of that happened at the same time. It almost seemed like we were in a time, a negative time warp situation where
I felt like we were in a twilight zone of another mirrored world.
Yes, it was insane. So what happened during that time is that I wanted to shift the way that people were thinking about it. So when they were coming out with how many deaths happened today, I was like, but how many survived today? Tell me something good. What's a good story that happened to you? Posting, just sharing on my social medias good things. And I used to call it, tell me something good, or, like what's popping, like what's happened happy, like did your kid learn to tie their shoe today in the house? Like what is it that is getting you through this? And so many people appreciated it, because it was like, we're being inundated with negativity and with death, and it was like a scare tactic. Stay in the house. If you get corona, you will immediately die upon delivery. There was so many things that was just so hard to digest. So like just giving people just an outlet to talk about something other than what was going on. I really got heavy into gossip then too, because it was what is not so, even if it was negative, it wasn't us negative. It wasn't somebody, like it wasn't somebody dying. It was like somebody.
Wait. When you said heavily into gossip in regards of your spreading gossip, or like
no. Like
that's what I was gonna say.
Celebrity gossip, what they were doing, but pop culture mostly. And just kind of keeping in touch with that, because that was something to talk about. That was other than, oh, my cousin got corona and they're on a ventilator. So it was just more so like just doing everything else. And it was at that point around April, we were like, okay, we really need, even though we can't really do anything, we need to launch the radio station anyways, because people want entertainment. They want to be entertained. They want to dance. They want to hear good music. So if I can gather, a lot of the DJs already had in-home studios built. So we found a program that would allow them to remote broadcast. And we really just launched with mixed shows and music just for people to be able to enjoy. And we started like a Spark Thursdays, where on Zoom, we would invite people to the Zoom meeting and we'd have DJs playing. And it was so fun. It was like from 9 to 12, we had like 3D. It was just really just a fun time to get people to relax. And then we got zoomed out really quickly. So then when the world opened a little bit, we started to do a small in-person gathering at a local restaurant where people can come and just eat, meet up with their friends that they knew, socially distance, stay safe, and listen to good music and eat good food. And that is what we decided to do for people in the pandemic.
That's so amazing. All right, so now I'm going to rewind again. What did your family think when you left nursing school and then decided to go into communications and then decided to start the program?
My mom, I think, there was like my mom and my aunt. My aunt is a nurse, and my mom, like because I've been saying forever, I want to be a nurse, and like she had really got in her head that that's what I should be doing.
Yep.
So when I flunked out of nursing school, it was always like, this is not the end. You can go back. And for a while, I did. Even after I graduated, I was looking into graduate schools or accelerator programs or something. I even
because you could have gone back to do communications in a nursing situation.
Exactly. So I went to Bunker Hill Community College, and I started taking classes there, and I was doing good again. Like finally, I was like doing well in the nursing classes, but I was also starting to dibble and dabble in radio and entertainment. And I liked it. I enjoyed it so much. It didn't require more than, like it didn't require as much as nursing. And I think that my mom, even probably to this day, I think she's better with it now in the last couple of years, but I think she secretly always hoped that I would go back and do nursing, and I'd be a nurse, and I would, do nice things.
The stable income, you'll have that
stable
future
income, like they're getting sign-on bonuses. And imagine if you were a nurse. And I was like, imagine if I was a nurse, I wouldn't be doing what I love to do, and I'm pretty sure that I would have had a really great career as a nurse. But I am very kind of overjoyed and grateful that what happened in college happened, and that I found this path to kind of just figure things out along the way. So they're fine now. They see how well that I'm doing and how well the business is going. So I think that now they understand, like, this is what she was meant to do. This is what she was put here to do. So I'm going to support her. And now, like, my whole family stands behind me so hard. Like always just doing everything that they can to support and, encourage me along the way.
I love it. So let's talk about the business. You decided to create this like right before. So like how many months? So you said January you signed the lease. I'm sorry, that was March. So you signed the lease.
March.
So how long before you were inspired to create this? What was the need? Because like, I'm sure you're dramatically younger than I am. But I grew up with WILD. And so, and it was like, it was bad. And you're like, hanger, oh my God, I'm just gonna move right here in this room and maybe it'll work. And then you knew what was sunset to sunrise to sunset is when it was on. They didn't have that much weight, but good music. Yeah. Good music. I mean, I remember like when, what was like, it's Marvin Gaye got killed by his dad on April Fool's Day. And I remember we were all like listening to, it was like phone calls, no cells, phone calls, all friends and family. And we lived and died. Pebbles, everyone ILD. All right. So we haven't had something like that in a long time. There's jamming, there's like all these different alternatives, but it's not like we grew up with WILD.
Yeah.
Where did you get what inspired you to do this now? Because I can sit and create my own playlist on like Spotify, Amazon, whatever you use. I could go on YouTube. I could find music in so many different places. Being a former radio person, I tell people radio is unlike TV and it's unlike newspapers. I can take you anywhere.
Absolutely.
I can take you anywhere. So what inspired you to do it and why now?
So there was so many little things that happened. For the last 10 years, when I first started, I was at a small internet radio station in Quincy. Then I got an internship at another local radio station, which I really loved, but it was a pirated station because, here in Boston, FCC's is not literally sitting there like, hey, you get a tower and you get a transmitter and you get a transmitter. It's like, you don't get one, you ain't gonna get one. So it seemed to me that, like you said, the mainstream radio, the jam-ins and everything like that, Now you were starting to hear on there the same things playing over and over and over again. There was less personalities, more music, more commercials. There was less connection to the to the locals. There was nobody that actually knew what was really happening in the hood and in these communities that are often underserved and misrepresented. Like we weren't getting any attention, we weren't getting any resources. So it was just one of those things where it's like, what's going on? So I applied to all of those radio stations. I tried endlessly to get in, never getting an interview. A couple of times I was able to visit and see the things that I really wanted to do. And it gave me more motivations to keep at it. But it just seemed like the door was never open. I couldn't get in. Something wasn't right. At the smaller radio stations, though, I could get in, and I was building a voice, I was building a platform, I was building a brand. But there were still so many things missing. It was a aura of professionalism. There was a lot of misogyny going on in there. It was, like it wasn't it they weren't being operated to the full potential of what we needed. And I got into a little snafu with the last radio station I was on, where the owner was fixing some hot mics, got a phone call and did a 15-minute monologue about what a terrible person I am and how much he doesn't like me over air. So it was really kind of like hurtful. And I was just like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to focus on my podcast, Henny and Hot Wings, where I can let loose and I can do all the things that I want to do and say all the things that I wanted to say. And as I was doing that, and that was growing and thriving, it wasn't big enough. It really just wasn't big enough. I saw so many of my friends struggling with the same thing, trying to get into these mainstream stations, not being able to get in, nobody really catering to the Black and Brown community in Boston. I grew up with WILD too. My uncle was Gem and Joe Johnson from there. So I grew up listening to him, and like it was, again, entertainment was just a part of it. So when it didn't even take me that long, I probably left that radio station in, I want to say maybe June, and didn't even really think about starting a radio station. I wanted to have a podcast studio, and I was going to build a podcast studio. But as I started to kind of get my business plan together and try to figure out what was going on and where I wanted to go, I was like, we need a radio station that was literally like WILD.
Yep.
Something that connected the people to media, gave them resources, helped them, with personal wealth and financial wealth, generational wealth, what's going on in and around the city, community events. There was so many things that we can do with having a media that was literally catered to us, that was ran professionally, legally, had a big presence, and was pretty much doing the things that the mainstream radio stations would do, but just on a little smaller scale until we get the budget. So really it was just, it was an idea. It was an idea that had a really big vision behind it. And because I'm a visionary and I like to see things in my head, it was just like, let's see what happens if we do it. And it really wasn't supposed to be as big as it turned out. It was, like you said, press releases. We put together a small media release. I asked some of my blogger friends and my podcast friends to, when I was going to announce to, like, if we can line something out so I can talk about this new venture. And we got one article that published the Daily Free Press from Northeastern, I think it is. Yeah. And then from there, it went viral. It literally went viral. And I cried every day of the campaign for fundraising because I was like, I wasn't ready. It wasn't supposed to be this big. We were just supposed, I feel pressure.
You are like Zoom, because when Zoom came out, remember he said, I go, well, the first time it broke, and he's like, this was not meant for the world. Nope. I did not create Zoom for the world. I was supposed to be competition for Google whatever's or for Skype. I go for
log me in, all those things. Yep.
And then he's like, I go, everyone around the world is using Zoom. I go, and you're using it as a, hey, I'm going to zoom out. I'm zooming in. I'm like, I'm Zoom fatigued. Like, hello. Like, yeah. So yeah.
That literally, that's how, like, you, when you do these things, sometimes it's like, I got me a little business, make a little money, it's cute. And then when you get this big surge of attention, it's like, am I ready to handle this? Was I prepared for this? And you really got to get ready fast, because once you put this out to the world that it is capable of doing what you needed to do, people are going to start expecting you to do what you said you were going to do, or what this platform or this function or this Zoom or this whatever is meant to do. I'm going to use it. So you need to be ready. You need to get going. So it was a hard lesson. I'm still learning it today, but like, there was just an overall need for mainstream, for, no, I wouldn't even say mainstream, for a real local radio that catered to this particular community.
What has been the response so far? Because you have a captive audience, not only because it's needed, but we've all been home. We've all been looking for things where we've all been discovering, not looking for, we've all been discovering things that were right in front of our faces that we just were unaware of. Best marketing in the world is a pandemic. Like, I mean, why waste a good pandemic? Why waste a good economic downfall? So
the pandemic hurt and helped me at the same time.
In what way?
It hurt because, like you said, it opened, people were in the house and they were bored. So that means all the entertainers and all the content creators took to social media and took to the internet to produce their work and send out their work. Even the people who are always outside, you never see them, they were now doing things online. So our competition increased tremendously too. Because at first, yes, we were dealing with Spotify's and the SoundClouds and other streaming and iHearts and all kinds of stuff. But you could just whatever. At this point, it was an influx of creatives online. And it was like, before we were like, oh, we're going to go digital so that we can do everything online. And we have this plan, we'll do online parties. But then online parties started happening every day. And people started DJs started playing music on FaceTime and on Facebook and all kinds of stuff. So it was
Instagram Live.
Oh my God, I can't do this. I'm like, we have an internet radio station and everybody is having an internet radio something right now. So it was hard, but it also helped me to be able to lay the foundation and the groundwork. So the pandemic, although we had a lot of competition, I got to not think about that because there was so much that I had to do from the bottom up to even get into those playing fields that we can actually kind of differentiate ourselves from what was going on.
Awesome. Where do you believe that the industry will go from here? Because things are starting to open up. A lot of people that were like gung-ho about anything online, they're like too much work, fatigue, or they're just burnt out. You talked about like I've had in a year, I mean, I took out like literally like where I did the interviews, but I didn't post anything for a month at a time. Like there's like 2 months I did not post, one during election time, and one time I was just like, I'm just tired. I'm just physically tired of doing anything, because not only are we doing this, but we're running a business. Like, I mean, people just think, oh, you like, look, Danielle, you're just like talking and stuff like that. You must be having fun, but you are running a business on the back end of the financial, like how do we support this financially? How do we, who's my team? All these different things. So where do you think the industry will go then as things are opening up, people start going back to their normal everyday, less TikToks because the kids are going back to school?
Amen.
Where are the creatives? Where will the creatives live in? Are they going to live?
So I think that when everybody else goes back outside, I think that creatives are naturally adaptable to whatever we're doing. And I think that a big part of like creative work is being able to showcase it, like in person to people, whether it be music or like art or dancing or anything like that. People still want to be out and about displaying their work that they've worked so hard for. I think that as we go along, it will open up more doors, because as people get back into normal life, we can get back to the plan that we had prior to Corona as things start to open up. So like the digital space will start to kind of shrink a little bit, because everybody's back outside and doing fun things and going to museums and all kinds of stuff. And while they are getting to these places, this is where we want to come in and be like, we'll help you get there. Just tune it on. We'll have it curated to the things you need. You can see what you want to listen to. It's such diverse content on here that you can find something for yourself to whatever. So I'm really excited for the world to open up. Because then we can also do things too about outside, having festivals and concerts and so many fun things that we can still do to make other revenue and to grow the business. So I'm really excited. The industry, I think people had a lot of time to think and to put together a plan if they wanted to, or if that's where they were in life. And I think that it's going to be very interesting to see how people, how they get back to the normal that they did know. And how they're gonna do it. We already see Florida and Atlanta acting up right now, so I'm only imagining.
Spring break, Florida.
Wow.
Wow. That's like literally the moment for me where I'm like watching the news. I'm like, that's a full body to body, no mask. Holy crap! 1 year ago, you guys were at the beach too, and it's like and I'm like. And I said not to do time references, but that one was something we had to talk about.
I think that one goes down in history. Like before Corona, before half the world even got their shots, spring break was turned up. I was watching it like it was a movie. Like, this can't be. This is real. Huh.
Okay. You know what? The funny thing is, so I not only do I have friends globally, but I interview them. I mean, on the podcast, and I'm like, so. What do you think about what you're seeing in the States? And they're like, are you guys crazy? I'm like, yeah, clearly. Yeah.
In general, we're crazy. We just left a president that was batshit crazy. And now we have people that are literally losing their mind. It's like, let me out now. I'm ready to go.
But then of course I'm talking to people where, I have my friends in Israel. They were like, yeah, our president is crazy, but he just got us all the shots. So crazy, corrupt, in court right now, but but we're all vaccinated, we're at the beach and we're open, get it.
Darn. I hate him. I love him. I don't know what to do about him.
How did you take care of you? You are running a business, you're overwhelmed, people are asking you for everything. We're in a pandemic, you're at home. How did you take care of you and your team?
I adopted self-care Saturdays.
What is that?
And that means that I did nothing on Saturdays. That was usually when my son would go and hang out with his dad for the weekend. So that means that I was free to be me. And I would wake up, get him ready, whatever, on a Saturday morning. And then I would, literally get in the couch with my blanket and a glass of wine. I don't care what time of day it was. And I would lose my mind watching Netflix. I would watch everything. At one point, I thought I watched everything on Netflix because it was just a time for me not to move, not to be. I would tell people, don't call me on Saturday or text me because I'm not going to answer. We have a leadership team that, call them because I'm unavailable and this ain't have nothing to do with me. Yes, it's my venture, but they are there. And so I did that. And at home during the week when I had the child and still trying to do meetings, it was a mess. It was a lot. I was often stressed out. I was often just kind of over it. I was eating the house down between me and my son. I think we both gained massive amounts of weight. But yeah, it was really one of those things. We were just taking it day by day. Letting it it was so easy to be depressed so that you could just go in your bed and cover up and go to sleep for long hours of the time because nothing was happening. But I did save a lot of gas because I didn't drive for 3 months. So that was really great.
All right. So I'm sorry. You didn't drive for 3 months. I didn't drive for 9.
Really?
Well, you know why? Because I'm part of a farm share. So the farm share can get delivered to your door. Yeah. I go, and then I have butcher box where my meat gets delivered door. I mean, because the thing is, when I came back in April, someone died at Market Basket, and I'm like, not going to the market, so I'm done. And so I was just everyone's like, are you afraid? I go, it's not that I'm afraid. I am the only child that's working with my mom, and my mom's in Florida, where it was a hot mess in Florida. I had to be smart about taking care of myself because I need to make sure that my mom is okay.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't fear. It was just like, okay, big picture. I was a caretaker for my grandmother. I took care of my grandmother for 21 years. So when I went anywhere, I was like, okay, this doesn't affect just me. If I'm jumping out of this plane right now, who is this affecting? Like, it's not just affecting me.
Yeah.
So I always thought big picture. If I'm just solo, then I'm like, I don't know, whatever. It's like, but I mean, I had to sit there and like, I want to see my mom one day, and I can't walk into her house knowing that she is older, that I'm going to get her sick. Because could you imagine? I mean, if you're having a bad day and your parents or your sibling dies and you're like, oh my God, I have regret, I didn't say I'm sorry. But if you sit there caught, like I've heard the stories and I would be broken. Not devastated, I would be broken. And I don't know if I would ever recover from that. So for me, I had to be smarter about where, how, who, etc. had the bubbles, etc. Son or daughter? I'm so sorry, I didn't hear that part.
Son.
How old?
9.
9 years old in school. So you are running a business, you're taking care of yourself, you're a teacher, and you are in the house together.
Oh yeah.
And you have a team.
So I mean, I raised him for 9 years, and I was like, I don't know who you are, little boy. You are interesting. What an interesting character. And I don't know if that was positive or negative, but I was like, oh, what do we have here? Who's been raising this child the whole time? It's zero behavior.
Because he was having a bad day, or because he was smarter than you? Like, what was that?
He was just, so he also does have ADHD. So he is me, naturally energetic, but a 9-year-old boy version of it. So his energy is about 100 times more than me. So imagine this little person or this big little boy running through the house, throwing things, swinging things, singing loudly, kicking, going outside, wanting to go outside, not going outside, licking things, going. It was like, what is happening? On every Zoom meeting, he was a part of it. He was sneaking back. I would just see him, like I would be standing right here, and then he would just walk across there. He would wave. He would do things in the back. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But people were so awesome about it. Like, I understand. Go home to your business. I'll be right here when you come back. So like, it was one of those things where it's like, oh my God, I can't do this. But like, I think everybody adjusted really well to the fact that they were home and there was nothing we can do. And we were all pretty much in the same life. We were all dealing with these kids that couldn't go back to school, that couldn't play with their friends, that couldn't go outside, that couldn't do so many things. And naturally, it was just like, it was a butting of heads a lot. It was a lot of learning, relearning, and kind of, just focusing on what is going to sustain you guys and keep you alive.
Okay, so my face hurts. I'm so sorry. I was just like, my face hurts. That was beautiful. I will literally take that. I mean, I tell everyone all the time, I'm so jealous because I don't have a kid right now. And because I have heard the goods and the bads and I'm like, I don't even know how I would have done, but I'm just kind of jealous right now. So yeah, okay.
You can ask him if you want to borrow him for a little while.
I've been asked that for many people too, because Auntie Jodi is real. So but right now I'm gonna sit there and say, I'm still gonna say no.
What's that? No, you do it. You're doing a great job so far. Keep doing it. I'll be here for moral support.
Okay. Well, again, I'm here. I'm gonna go high five for doing a great job. High five.
Through the Zoom.
What would you say to someone that is thinking about it? So people have been fired, furloughed, have left jobs, have their jobs that they're getting paid. All of the above. People are like, I don't want to go back to the job, and they're like collecting unemployment because they're like, I don't want to go back to a job because they're like, the money's there, but I just don't want to go back because I realized how bad it was.
Yeah.
And I know I can change the world. So what would you say to anyone that is thinking about starting their own thing, whatever, whether it's a service, a product, a building, what would you say? Because you're going through it. You've gone through it. You're going through it. People are scared. People are concerned, but also the stress level, the mental care is up in regards of like the pandemic. Like this is like someone that comes too close to me, I could see people freaking out. I mean, you see the shootings are starting to come back up, which is so frustrating. But you also have the individuals where the micromanager was on my ass. I was almost gonna get fired because of the micromanager. And then now my boss, the boss is seeing, hey, Johnny, Sally are doing a lot of great work. I thought we were gonna get rid of them, but they've been producing. Oh wait, it's not Johnny or Sally, it's you, the micromanager. So now Johnny and Sally are like, I'm doing great work, but now as I'm doing my great work, I'm also researching my own thing. Absolutely. But do I leave? Do I go? So what would you say to, or with everything I just said, what would you say to that person that's like, it may be my time, it's possibly my time, it is my time?
I would, and this is so not like me, but this is what I've learned in the past year, is that if that's where you're at and you're like, you know what, I hate this. This is not for me. I want to do my own thing. I need people to really kind of have a plan of what they are going to do. Like, it's really cool. It sounds nice. And we see them all the time where people are like, you know, I just quit. I just up and quit my job and look at me up driving, you know, like those are really special cases. And I don't want anybody to think that entrepreneurship is something that is so easy, because you will work harder for your venture than you will ever work for anybody else. And then there is, so yeah, having a plan. And then if you do decide to go out with your plan, one thing that I say that's always really cliche is just keep swimming. So it just like if you go really far out, say you're in a job and that's like the ocean and you are the swimmer and you go really far out and you realize that you are too far out, you can't ever stop swimming because of the fact that you will stop and drown. You really got to have to push through that pain and whatever and all the winds and the waves, and you're going to have to try to get back to shore. And shore might not just be land. Shore just might be somewhere that you can stand up and you can get it together, where you can rest and go back out, but really just keep swimming and you never can stop. So once you decide that that is where you're going to go, that you are going to be done working for other people and you're going to work for yourself, you never really ever get to stop swimming. And that's something that a lot of people don't really think about. So that's what I would say. Have a plan. Just have a basic outline of what you want to do, how you're going to get there, how you're going to fund it. I always suggest staying with your job until you are able. I wouldn't even say until you're making how much you're making. You know, stay with your job until you know that for sure that you are comfortable giving 150% to whatever you're doing. And after you do that, then that's good. I was lucky. I got laid off. So, you know, like that decision was made for me. And I got laid off in a time where everybody was at home anyways, and that there was so much relief and stuff out there. So it was a blessing in disguise. But, you know, like if that wasn't the case, I probably would have still been working where I was working now and just kind of going through, and I loved my job. I loved everything about my job. So we're in the process of acquiring my old job before. So, you know, like those are the things that you can figure out along the way. As long as you have a plan and you have a good team, like you were talking about earlier, then you can pretty much do it. You just have to be ready to swim.
I love that you're acquiring your old company.
Yeah.
Wow, I like that a lot. Yeah. Okay. If you I was gonna say, so I have 3 more questions because like you already know the 2 last ones, but like technically I have 1 more question. Where do you see yourself? I mean, where do you see yourself in your company? Because like I know some people say 5 years. I'm like, I'm so not into that 5 years because I've watched the World Implode last time. So where do you see yourself in the next 6 months to a year?
So 6 months to a year, 6 months to a year, I hope to be making like really steady income. Right now we're choppy. We're making it. We haven't needed to want for anything or wait, you know, like waiting for grants to come through, or for payments to process. They're very, you know, here or there, but they're a good amount so that they can last our overhead costs. So and so right now that's good, but I hope to be able, well, I know, not hope, I know that we'll be making, you know, really steady income. We'd probably have a good little cushion in the bank. We can really put the money where our mouths are and really kind of give back and do fun things that will not only elevate our brand, because a lot of people don't think about that too. When you're giving back, you're not necessarily giving back because you just want to give it back. You're giving back because there's something in it for you. And
I like that you said, I like that you just said that, because I tell people all the time, I go, altruism has a component of self. Yes. And everyone's like, that's not true. I'm like, 100%, unless you are anonymous and they can't track your name, literally, Okay.
Exactly.
You want your name somewhere. So like, please, I go, just say it for what it is. I'm not even mad at you.
Yeah.
Just say it is what it's another form of marketing. It's another form of marketing.
It is like recently we purchased some books for Pop Warner Pop Warner football team because they want to introduce reading, reading together, playing together, and eating together. So we were like, we'll donate the books. Spark FM will donate the books to your Pop Warner football team. What we would like in return is a nice thank you for donating the books. We put our name out there. You could just stick the name on a flyer. It's really about brand recognition and getting that out there. It was almost like what we were talking about offline, like media is good. Publicity is good. The good things that you do are good for your company as well. So, like I know it seems taboo. You don't want to do nothing nice because you don't want to say that you did it for you.
You know what? I'm sorry. I've been in this. I've been in this business, and I've been on this planet for way too long. Where it's not. It's okay. It's like I want to be humble. I go, well, you know what? I go, when I was in Japan, they're like, I go, we're humble. We're not like Americans. I'm like, really, Toyota City? Toyota City. No. It's like I'm driving into Toyota City, where Toyota Mall, Toyota School, Toyota Cities. Where's the humble? Where's the humble?
Yeah. And it's
and again, I don't fault you
being humble.
I don't fault people for that. Same thing when people sit there and say you're bougie. I'm like, why do we see that as a negative word? It is not a negative word.
I value luxury. I
work hard. I work hard and I go, why? Why can't I? Why can't I wear my cute little pearls that I got from China? Why?
Exactly. And if I want to donate something and I can, and
I can. If I want to donate something and I can, why can't I? Why are you sitting? Why is there a negative connotation for me? Like I'm able to give back. Why is there a negative connotation? Okay, we can go on a tangent on that. That'll be our next conversation.
Let's do it.
All right. So my last question to you is, you had a personal ask and a professional ask of anyone that's listening to you. 2 answers, please. What would they be? What would be your ask?
I guess the professional ask in general is always support and donate, whether that be in kind, monetary, listenership, sending people our way, connecting resources. I'm big on resources and actual connections with people. Somebody that would work great for me and you like me, holla at your girl. And personal would just be like my favorite compliment. I got one today. Somebody was like, hey, I was listening to your station and I love it. Like, that's my favorite. It's no purchase necessary. You don't have to do much. Personally, just listen to what's happening, because I promise, very unbiased, because it's mine. But we literally have so much great talent and great content that if you turn it on, you will like it. That is an actual promise that I can make to people, because we have curated such a fine group of content creators that are able to really move a crowd, teach you things. They are in the community, they're putting in the work. So listen to them. You don't have to buy anything. You can subscribe to our email list. I encourage you to do that, and just press play. That's all you have to do. Press play. Numbers matter.
I love that. I love that so much. All right, wait, what's your favorite mainstream song? Not mainstream, like, I mean, you're like mainstream versus Caribbean. So what's like your favorite Caribbean style? And yeah, it's easy to say Trinidad. I could say Haitian. I'm like, but what's your favorite one? And I go, yeah, give me 2 songs that are like up and coming artists that are like, that we would never know.
Who that we would never know? Let's see. So there is a local artist that I really, really love her work. Her name is Miranda Ray. She is a R&B singer. She has an amazing voice and an even amazinger personality. And I haven't really been around her too much, but I've heard her music. I've seen what she's done. I've heard her in interviews. I think we've been in the same room together and introduced, but I think that she's really, really amazing and great. So that would be for mainstream, but local. Right now, I'm very into ratchet music when it comes to mainstream. So anything Cardi B.
Wait, I'm not hip at all. I mean, there's nothing hip about me. My cousins, like, literally, I literally ask my cousins, I'm like, what does that mean? Like, literally, we have the family WhatsApp, and I'm like, I just avoid it because I'm like, I don't know. I have to Google half the things you guys say because I'm not hip. Ratchet music.
ratchet. So it's more like, you know, there's another way that I can say this that is not so podcast friendly.
But you
But
can't
it's
cuss.
more,
You can't cuss. No cussing. No cussing.
I know it's more like, you know, uh female rappers right now. The
Okay.
Cardi B's, the Megan the Stallions, the
See, I know what that means now.
yes. No, see, that's,
Okay,
that's
I am rapping and I'm using whether it's my body parts or what I'm doing with a man or a woman, and
yep,
I'm like owning it, and I'm not even like gonna apologize.
that part. And it, you might not know exactly what I'm saying in every verse, and it might want to cringe a little, like, oh my God, she said that.
My children can't be in the car when I'm listening to you.
Yeah,
You get bleeped out on, yeah. See,
that
see,
type of music.
I'm not hip, but I can. Once you give me a little nugget, I'm like, oh, I'm in.
I know that music.
I know what that.
So
I
it's
know
them,
now.
and then the same thing on the other spectrum. I love, like, you know, Buju Banton. He came out with a CD, like, during an album during COVID, which was really great. It took you through a complete, like, everything. So right now he's just my favorite because, and I have a big crush on him. So he's my favorite. And then there's another really awesome female. Her name is Shensia, and she's like the Caribbean version of the ratchet music of the Cardi B's and stuff like that. So I'm really right there right now, maybe because I feel so hardcore, and we're getting outside. Let's go. Get money, ladies. Yeah. So that's where I am right now when it comes to music.
Oh my God, I love it. Madame Danielle, I love you. I mean, like you are, I mean, I am so happy that I didn't plus, I'm over this panel, boom. I go, Lily, you are wonderful. I love this conversation. Awesome. I love everything that you're doing. You made my face hurt. I mean, I tell people all the time, I'm like, I enjoy smiling so much, and I miss that. For some people, sometimes you have conversations with people and they're not deep, they're not entertaining. I'm like, so my mind, body, and soul is getting nothing out of you. And I love it when I get to have my face hurt. I mean, I was very lucky where I attended a family funeral this week, and I was happy to be in New York with my family. They're all in the medical field. They're all vaccinated. So it was like weird to be with everyone that's vaccinated. Because I'm like, shit, there's only like 4 or 5 of us that are not vaccinated amongst this, because you're allowed to have 50 people at a funeral home now. Yeah. But we had so much fun, and our faces were hurting because we missed that family interaction. And it was so much fun. And I'm like, this is what it means to be vaccinated or whatever, but to be safe, to be able to attend to a funeral that a person has been fighting with cancer for close to 20 years. She finally dies at the end of the pandemic, thank God. And we got to celebrate her life. And I was like, I will take it. I will take it.
I enjoyed even just being here with you. I too enjoyed just speaking to you, to be somebody who's real. And like usually you do interviews and you're like,
oh, and it's so stiff.
Look at the time, but I really did enjoy it. So thank you so much. And I know that we're going to be very fast friends.
Oh my God, I love it.
And we're going to meet each other many more times and have drinks and listen to rap.
Well, I can't wait to meet your 9-year-old. I can't wait to meet the energy.
He's going to meet Auntie Jodi.
Yes.
And go live with her.
No. But you are always welcome to my beautiful little town in Marblehead, and I go and there's beaches and we can run around, and so I always tell people you're always welcome. We were the house where I traveled all the time, and I would tell people, like, if you're ever in the United States, you just come to our house. And my mom's like, who's coming today? Like, and my parents were like, all right. People would just come from any random country.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way you open your doors. I mean, then of course the mass murderers and killers and all stuff like that ruined it for everybody.
They always do it,
Damn them. Damn.
Ugh. Can't you just stay inside? Why can't you just
not funny the way that we just said that? Not funny that we say, but it is funny.
And it's such a sucky situation, because it's just like, if you are so self-destructive, why didn't you just stay in your house?
I don't
have fun with yourself.
Why must you take it? Why must you go outside and try to play with others when you know you can't play with others?
Exactly. That person does not play well with others.
Not playing with. I want to play well with others. I want to I want to invite people to my home. So you can come with your son, but play nice with me.
Okay, I will play nice.
Danielle, it was an absolute pleasure, my friend. Thank you so very much for all that you do. Thank you very much for being on that panel. Thank you very much for like all of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we'll talk soon.
We'll talk soon. Bye, my friend.